My wife kicked me out of my own bedroom for asking her brother to pay bills. My name is David Carter, and for 12 years I thought I had the perfect marriage. At 45, I'd built a solid life as an operations manager at Midwest Manufacturing in Toledo, Ohio. My wife Jane and I owned a comfortable 4-bedroom colonial on Elmwood Drive, complete with a 2-car garage and a backyard perfect for summer barbecues. Jane worked part-time as a dental hygienist, more for personal fulfillment than financial necessity. My salary covered our mortgage, car payments, and comfortable lifestyle with room to spare. I prided myself on being generous. When Jane's elderly aunt needed help with medical bills, I wrote the check without hesitation. That's the kind of man I was. The kind who helped family. Which made February 15th such a perfect setup for disaster. Jane burst through the front door that Tuesday evening, her cheeks flushed and eyes bright with urgency. "David, we need to talk. It's Tyler." Her voice carried that protective edge I'd heard whenever she discussed her younger brother. "He's in real trouble this time." Tyler Vasquez was Jane's baby brother, though at 28, calling him a baby seemed generous. He'd moved to Phoenix 3 years earlier, chasing dreams of becoming a fitness influencer while working at various gyms. Amber kicked him out. She found out he was seeing someone else and threw all his stuff on the lawn. "He's got nowhere to go, David. He's sleeping in his car." Here it was. The moment that would change everything. He asked if he could stay here for a few weeks, just until he gets back on his feet. How long is a few weeks? Maybe a month? 2 at most. He's already got some job leads in Columbus. I looked around our kitchen, mentally calculating the logistics. We had plenty of room and Tyler was family. Of course he can stay. When's he getting here? Tomorrow night. His flight lands at 8:30. Tyler arrived the next evening with 2 duffel bags, a gaming chair, and a story that didn't quite match what Jane had told me. According to him, Amber had been psycho-jealous and kicked him out because he'd been helping a female client with her workout routine. "Women, you know?" He shrugged, settling into our living room like he'd never left. At first glance, Tyler seemed like a younger, more muscular version of Jane. Same dark hair, same brown eyes, same charming smile. But where Jane used her charm to make others feel comfortable, Tyler wielded his like a tool to get what he wanted. "I really appreciate this, David. I promise I won't be a burden." The first week went smoothly. Tyler helped Jane cook dinner, complimented my choice in beer, and even offered to walk Bailey in the mornings. He spent his days networking and applying for jobs, though I noticed he was usually playing video games when I came home for lunch. By the 3rd week, Tyler had settled into a routine. Sleep until 10, gym using my membership, lunch, then building his brand on Instagram. His TikTok videos were getting decent engagement. "I'm really close to monetizing this content," he explained. "Once I hit 10,000 followers, the sponsorship deals will start rolling in." The problem started small. Tyler used my razors without asking. He ate the last of the coffee without making more. He left wet towels on the bathroom floor. When I mentioned these things to Jane, she laughed them off. "He's just adjusting. You know how guys are with housework." The first major red flag came at the end of Tyler's 2nd month. I was reviewing our credit card statement when I noticed several charges I didn't recognize. DoorDash orders, Amazon purchases, a $200 charge to Apex Fitness gear. When I asked Tyler about it, he looked genuinely confused. "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I thought that was Jane's card." He handed me $200 in cash that evening. I feel terrible about the confusion. 2 weeks later it happened again. Smaller amounts this time, but Tyler was appropriately apologetic. When I suggested he keep his cards in a different spot to avoid confusion, he got defensive. I said I was sorry, David. I'm not trying to steal from you guys. Maybe I should find somewhere else to stay if I'm such a problem. Jane immediately jumped in. "Tyler, you're not a problem. David, he made an honest mistake." By month 3, Tyler had transformed our guest bedroom into what looked like a permanent residence. Gaming setup, clothes filling the closet, workout posters on the walls. Jane said I could make it comfortable since I might be here a while longer. The job market's been slower than expected. This was the first I'd heard about Tyler staying longer than the original 2 months. How much longer are we talking? Hard to say. These things take time, you know? That progress wasn't visible to me. Tyler's routine hadn't changed since week 1. When I mentioned this to Jane, she had explanations ready. The economy's terrible right now. He's been applying to places. When was the last time he went on an interview? Silence. Month 4 brought new developments. Tyler announced he was starting a fitness coaching business and asked to borrow $2,000 for startup costs. I declined. politely but firmly. Tyler's response was to sulk for a week, making comments about how some people didn't believe in supporting family dreams. Meanwhile, our grocery bill had doubled. Utility costs shot up 40%. Tyler used my truck without asking, returning it with empty gas tanks and new scratches. My tools disappeared from the garage. The breaking point came on a Thursday evening when I found Tyler hosting a party in our backyard. I pulled into my driveway at 6:30 p.m. to find 4 cars parked on my lawn. Music pounded from our backyard. Tyler was behind my outdoor bar, mixing drinks for 8 people I'd never seen before. David. Tyler waved me over with a bottle of my good bourbon. Perfect timing. I want you to meet everyone. He made introductions like he was hosting at his own place. This is my sister's husband, David. He's letting me crash here while I get my business off the ground. Letting him crash here. Like I was some generous stranger. Tyler, can I talk to you for a minute? I nodded toward the house. In the kitchen I kept my voice level. What's all this? Just a few friends from the gym. Jane said it was fine. Jane's not here. She's at her book club until 9. Well, I'm sure she wouldn't mind. Tyler, you can't just invite people over without asking. I live here too right now. I should be able to have friends over occasionally. Not without asking first. Tyler's expression shifted. Look, I get that this is your house, but I live here too. Next time I'll check with you before I breathe wrong. The party broke up by 8 p.m., but not before someone broke one of Jane's planters and left beer bottles scattered across the yard. When Jane got home and I explained what happened, her response floored me. I wish you'd called me. I would have told you it was okay. That's not the point, Jane. He should have asked permission. They weren't strangers to Tyler. Just some people hanging out by the pool. The credit card incidents continued. Tyler would use my card by mistake, apologize and pay me back in cash. But the cash payments were often less than the actual charges. By month 5, Tyler had established himself as a permanent fixture. He answered our doorbell, gave directions to delivery drivers, and acted like he had equal say in household decisions. I was thinking we should get a bigger TV for the living room, he announced during dinner. That 55-inch is fine, but we could really use something in the 75-inch range. We're not buying a new TV, Tyler. He looked at Jane. What do you think, sis? Wouldn't a bigger screen be nice? Jane glanced between us. I mean, our TV is getting a little outdated. Our TV is 3 years old, Jane. Tyler has a point about the screen size. Maybe we should think about it. With what money? Tyler's been here 5 months without paying rent, utilities, or groceries. But now we should spend money on luxury items. Jane set down her fork. David, that's a terrible thing to say. Tyler pushed back from the table. Maybe I should go. I never wanted to be a burden. Tyler, don't you dare leave, Jane said quickly. David, apologize. For what? For making Tyler feel unwelcome in our home. Our home, Jane. Not his home. After Tyler left for a walk, Jane and I had our first real fight in years. How could you humiliate him like that? How could I state facts about our household budget? You made it sound like he's some kind of freeloader. Jane, what would you call someone who's lived here 5 months, contributed nothing financially, and now wants us to buy him a TV? He's family, David. Family doesn't charge family. Family also doesn't take advantage of family. Jane shook her head. You used to be more generous. I don't know what's happened to you. Over the following weeks, I started paying closer attention to Tyler's patterns. He was strategic about his kindness, turning on charm when Jane was around and becoming casual when it was just us. Why stress about finding a job when I've got this sweet setup? He said one afternoon. Jane's happy you're handling the bills and I've got time to figure out what I really want to do. By month 6, Tyler had stopped pretending to look for work. His days consisted of sleeping until noon, working out, playing video games, and posting motivational content about living your best life. When I tried to discuss boundaries with Jane, she accused me of being bitter and resentful. Tyler's right, you really have changed. Tyler had opinions about my character now. Tyler, who hadn't paid for a meal in 6 months, felt qualified to judge my personality. That's when I realized Jane wasn't making excuses because she couldn't see Tyler's behavior. She was making excuses because she'd chosen sides and I wasn't on hers. Instead of fighting anymore, I started documenting everything. The conversation that changed everything happened on a Tuesday evening in August. I'd been tracking our household expenses for 2 months, and the numbers were devastating. Tyler's presence had increased our monthly costs by $1,847, over $11,000 in 6 months. I'd also documented Tyler's daily routine and discovered he'd made 4 job-related attempts in 26 weeks. That's 1 interview every 6.5 weeks. Jane, I need to show you something. I spread our financial documents across the kitchen table. Bank statements, credit card bills, utility records. Before Tyler arrived, our monthly expenses averaged $3,200. Since February, we've averaged $5,047 per month. That's an increase of $1,847. I showed her the breakdown. Electric bill up 68%. Water bill up 52%. Groceries increased from $300 to $680 monthly. Over 6 months, that's $11,082 in additional expenses. That's money we could have used for our Europe trip or the kitchen renovation. Jane studied the papers without speaking. Tyler has been here 6 months and 2 weeks. He's gone on 4 job interviews. That's 1 interview every 6.5 weeks. I pulled out another sheet. I've tracked his daily activities. He sleeps 11 hours, spends 4 hours on social media, plays video games for 3 hours. That leaves 5 hours for job searching, but I've never seen him spend more than 30 minutes per day on employment activities. What are you saying, David? I'm saying Tyler isn't looking for work. He's settled into a lifestyle where someone else pays his bills. He's trying? Jane, look at the numbers. Look at the evidence. Tyler is not trying. He's comfortable. She pushed the papers away. I can't believe you've been tracking my brother like some kind of stalker. I've been documenting facts because every time I raise concerns, you tell me I'm imagining things. What about the fact that Tyler is dealing with depression? That he's in a new city? That you've made him feel unwelcome? The fact is that Tyler shows no signs of depression except when it's convenient for avoiding responsibility. Jane stood up. I think you need to decide what's more important, David. Your spreadsheets or your family. I think you need to decide what's more important, Jane. Your brother's comfort or your marriage. We'd finally said what this was really about. I want you to ask Tyler to move out. Give him 2 weeks. David, I can't do that. Then I want him to start paying rent. Market rate is $800 per month, plus utilities and groceries. He can't afford $800 per month. Then he needs to find somewhere he can afford. I won't kick my brother out onto the street. He wouldn't be on the street. He'd be independent. Like every other 28-year-old adult. Jane snapped. Fine. If you hate my brother so much, then maybe you should be the one to leave. 20 minutes later, Jane came back downstairs carrying my clothes. I think you should sleep in the basement tonight. Tyler and I need some space to process your ultimatum. Tyler and I. Like they were a team and I was the opposition. Jane, this is ridiculous. What's ridiculous is demanding that I choose between my husband and my brother. Tyler appeared at the top of the stairs. Hey David. Everything okay down there? Just fine, Tyler. Cool. Sorry about all the drama. I never wanted to cause problems. That's when I understood exactly what had happened. Jane had banished me because Tyler was uncomfortable with conflict, and Tyler's comfort took priority over everything else. I made up the couch and lay there listening to Tyler's gaming session upstairs. This was supposed to be my refuge, but it felt like a hotel where I wasn't entirely welcome. That's when I stopped trying to fix the situation and started planning my exit. The next morning, Jane found me drinking coffee at 6 a.m., fully dressed despite sleeping maybe 2 hours. I'm taking a personal day. We need to have a real conversation about whether this marriage is still working. Are you seriously threatening divorce because I won't kick out my brother? I'm trying to understand why asking a grown man to contribute makes me the villain. Tyler wandered downstairs in pajamas. Morning, everyone. Everything okay? Everything's fine, Jane said quickly. Cool. Can I borrow your truck, David? My car's making that weird noise again. I looked at this man who'd been consuming my resources for 6 months and now wanted my vehicle. No. Tyler paused. No. No, you can't borrow my truck. Why not? Because it's my truck. Jane jumped in. David, don't be petty. Tyler needs transportation. Tyler has a car. That's making noise. Then you should get it fixed. I can't afford repairs right now. Then you should take the bus. The silence was deafening. Tyler stared like I'd suggested he walk to Mars. The bus? David, I'm not taking public transportation to a business meeting. Why not? Because it's not professional. Neither is borrowing someone else's truck without contributing to gas, insurance, or maintenance. After Tyler left for the gym, walking since he refused the bus, I began my investigation. Our joint checking account revealed Jane had made 17 cash withdrawals totaling $3,400 over 4 months. Each withdrawal coincided with Tyler mentioning needing money for interviews or emergencies. $3,400 in secret funding, on top of the $11,000 in documented expenses. I called our bank for detailed statements, then drove to Jane's dental office. Jane drives that reliable Honda, right? Dr. Morrison, her boss, seemed confused when I asked about car trouble. I haven't heard anything about car problems. Another lie. Jane had told me she'd withdrawn $300 for transmission work, but her car was fine. I spent the day researching every company and opportunity Tyler had mentioned. None existed. The businesses were fabrications, the courses weren't real, the opportunities were lies. Tyler wasn't just freeloading, he was running an elaborate con on his own sister. That evening, I confronted Jane with bank statements and my research. I know about the cash withdrawals. $3,400, Jane. Money you gave Tyler while telling me we needed to watch spending. Her face went pale. David, I can explain. I also know your car repairs never happened. Tyler's business meetings are with companies that don't exist, and his professional development courses aren't real. What are you talking about? I showed her my research. Fake companies, non-existent programs, impossible opportunities. Tyler wouldn't lie to me about something like this. Jane, look at the evidence instead of explaining it away. She stared at the documents for a long time. Even if that's true, he's still family. He's still going through a difficult time. He's going through a difficult time because he's created one. Tyler isn't a victim of circumstances. He's a victim of his choices. I can't abandon my brother. That evening, Jane had her serious conversation with Tyler. I listened from the kitchen as Tyler deployed every manipulation tactic in his arsenal. He was hurt that we didn't trust him. Disappointed that family would doubt his word. Considering leaving because he didn't want to be a burden. Jane bought it completely. Tyler, we're not doubting you. David's just stressed about money. Maybe I should look into getting a regular job while I build my business. Something part-time. That sounds like a great compromise. Tyler had promised to look into getting a part-time job. Not to actually get one. Jane heard progress. I heard another delay tactic. 2 days later, Tyler announced he'd applied for several positions. 10 days after that, he explained why none worked out. Not challenging enough, wrong hours, unprofessional managers. Jane accepted every excuse. I documented every lie. By September, I had everything I needed. Financial records showing $14,400 in expenses and secret transfers. Documentation of fake business activities. Evidence of Jane's lies about where our money was going. Most importantly, I had a plan. I signed the lease on my new apartment on September 3rd. A 1-bedroom place in Maumee, 15 minutes from my office and completely free of freeloading in-laws. I spent 3 days preparing for my exit. I opened a new checking account and redirected my direct deposit. Jane would discover this when the mortgage payment bounced. I contacted insurance companies and removed Jane and Tyler from my auto policy. I changed passwords on all streaming services and utilities in my name. On Friday evening, Jane came home to find me loading boxes into my truck. David, what are you doing? Moving out. Jane stared like she couldn't process what she was seeing. Moving out where? I've rented an apartment. I'm leaving tonight. You can't just quit on our marriage without trying to work things out. Jane, I've been trying to work things out for 7 months. You've been working to protect Tyler from consequences. Those are different goals. Tyler appeared in the doorway. What's going on? David's moving out, Jane said, her voice breaking. Tyler's expression shifted to something like calculation. Wow, that seems pretty extreme. Can't we talk about this? Tyler, we've been talking for months. You've been ignoring every conversation about responsibility. Jane's been making excuses for behavior she'd never tolerate from anyone else. I'm done talking. I handed Jane an envelope. This explains everything. Read it after I leave. David, please don't do this. Please don't give up on us. I looked at my wife of 12 years, standing in our driveway while her brother watched like he was enjoying a show. Jane, I gave up on us the night you kicked me out of our bedroom for asking Tyler to pay bills. You gave up on us when you decided Tyler's comfort mattered more than your husband's concerns. I'm just making it official. 20 minutes later, I was in my new apartment, unpacking boxes in the blessed quiet of a space that belonged entirely to me. My phone started buzzing around 9 p.m. Text messages from Jane cycling through anger, bargaining, and pleading. Tyler had apparently left Friday night, claiming he couldn't bear causing marital problems. Jane was sure this proved he deserved our support. I deleted all messages without responding. Sunday afternoon, Jane showed up at my apartment. Tyler's gone. He left Saturday morning and I haven't heard from him. Are you happy now? Where did he go? I don't know. He said he couldn't live with destroying our marriage. Jane, Tyler isn't homeless. Tyler is finally experiencing natural consequences instead of having someone else solve his problems. He's my brother. And I was your husband. Past tense, because you made it clear Tyler's problems were more important than our marriage. Jane cried real tears, genuinely heartbroken about our marriage ending. But she was heartbroken for the wrong reasons. I never chose Tyler over you. I was trying to help both of you. Jane, you chose Tyler every single time our interests conflicted. When I asked for boundaries, you called me unreasonable. When I documented his lies, you said I was being unfair. Every choice prioritized Tyler's comfort over our partnership. I was trying to be a good sister. By being a bad wife. She stayed 2 hours, alternating between apologies and accusations. She wanted to work on our marriage, but only if I accepted that helping Tyler was non-negotiable. After she left, I sat in my quiet apartment and felt something I hadn't experienced in months: peace. 3 weeks later, my neighbor Teresa called with updates. Jane was having difficulties. The lawn service had stopped, there was coming and going at odd hours, and a man from the bank had been taking pictures of the house. Also, Tyler's back. About a week ago. But he's not alone, there's a woman with him. 2 days later, Jane called me directly. David, I need help with the mortgage payment. No. Please. Just this once. Jane, you chose this situation. You can solve it. I can't afford the payments without your income. Then sell the house and find something you can afford. Tyler came back and he brought his girlfriend. They're talking about all three of us living here permanently. I don't know what to do. The irony was perfect. Jane had destroyed our marriage to protect Tyler, and now Tyler was moving his girlfriend in while Jane faced foreclosure. Jane, you know what to do. You've always known. You just refused because it would require Tyler to act like an adult. Over the following months, I received updates through Teresa and mutual friends. Tyler and his girlfriend Brittany had moved in permanently without contributing to expenses. Jane was working double shifts and had taken a weekend retail job to keep up with mortgage payments. Tyler had started selling nutrition supplements, requiring a significant upfront investment that Jane provided by taking a loan against her 401k. Brittany was an aspiring influencer creating content about authentic living while living rent-free. In December, Jane lost the house. Tyler and Brittany disappeared the week before the sheriff's sale, taking Jane's jewelry and several pieces of furniture. Jane moved in with her friend Jennifer, sleeping on a couch while working 2 jobs to pay off debt she'd accumulated trying to save Tyler from his choices. Tyler had moved on to his next victim, living with Brittany's mother in Akron, launching another fitness business while dealing with temporary setbacks. As for me, I was thriving. My apartment had become a home. I joined a hiking club, started taking evening classes, and begun dating Rebecca, a nurse practitioner who understood the importance of boundaries. 6 months after leaving Jane, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked tired and older, wearing scrubs from her retail job. How are you? I asked. I'm managing. Working a lot, but managing. Do you think there's any chance we could try again? I know I made mistakes, but I've learned about boundaries. I looked at this woman I'd loved for 12 years, who was living with a friend because she'd chosen her brother over her marriage. Jane, I hope you have learned about boundaries. But no, there's no chance for us. I chose Tyler over you. I see that now. I thought I was being a good sister, but I was being a terrible wife. You were being both. The problem was thinking being a good sister required being a terrible wife. Tyler called last week. He and Brittany broke up and he wants to stay with Jennifer and me until he gets back on his feet. What did you tell him? I told him no. For the first time in my life, I told my brother no. How did he react? He hung up on me. Haven't heard from him since. We finished our conversation and went our separate ways. Jane had finally learned to set boundaries with Tyler, but too late to save our marriage. 3 years later, I still live in Maumee. Rebecca and I married last spring in a ceremony attended by people who understand that marriage is a partnership between equals. Jane sent a card wishing us well. Tyler, according to Jane's last update, is in Florida with his latest girlfriend's family, still chasing influencer dreams while avoiding traditional employment. He's 31 but age hasn't brought wisdom. Jane found a relationship with a man who appreciates her work ethic but expects healthy family boundaries. I learned that sometimes walking away is the only way to save yourself. Some people will take everything you give and demand more. Some relationships require sacrificing self-respect to maintain them. The night Jane kicked me out of my bedroom for asking Tyler to pay bills, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen to our marriage. It turned out to be the best thing that could happen to my life. If you've ever been treated like a resource instead of a person, remember this. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling destructive behavior and start protecting your own well-being. Jane learned to set boundaries with Tyler, but only after losing her house, marriage, and financial security. I learned to set boundaries before losing anything else that mattered. The difference in timing made all the difference in outcome. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who took advantage? How did you handle someone who confused kindness with weakness? Share your experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next chilling tale. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.